We watched last week as the president invited Republican senators to the White House, had a lunch with them inside in the state dining room, I believe, and impressed upon them they needed to do something. Where do things stand and what could happen this week?
Well, they're still talking about having a procedural vote to sort of test whether or not there are 50 Republican senators willing to even bring up the bill. And that's a very much open question whether that will happen tomorrow, how close they are. They still have been negotiating all weekend long, as well as last week with individual senators, with groups of senators, trying to get them to yes. And keep in mind, they do have a couple $100 billion in extra room that they could theoretically use to buy off some moderates and get them on board. And they're also going to have to make some tweaks, it looks like, to get people like Mike Lee, the conservative from Utah, on board. He was one of the people who came out against McConnell's bill a week ago and helped kill it. And now, they're going to probably have to have some regulatory tweaks as well. So it's very tough to see how they possibly get to that 50 votes this week. Keep in mind, John McCain, last week was diagnosed with brain cancer. They would have to sort of run the table, get everybody on board in the end to pass this week, including probably John McCain flying in to cast, the 50th vote. That is a very tough road to hoe. You got to get the moderates on board, the conservatives, and probably John McCain as well, because Rand Paul and Susan Collins, one from the left and one from the right of the party, are pretty hard-nosed on what McConnell wants to do here.
Stephen, how are Republicans reacting to the muscle the White House is flexing? I read that tweet about possible repercussions if there isn't a vote on this. There was another tweet over the weekend. The president said, "It's very sad that Republicans, even some that were carried over the line on my back, do very little to protect their president." You don't have to read between the lines there. He's trying to force a play here on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I just don't see it really working. I mean, keep in mind, a lot of these Republican senators who have been no or have been close to no for the past several weeks, a lot of them aren't up for re-election until 2022. People like Rand Paul, Lisa Murkowski, he can't go into a primary anytime soon and take them out. And, he's got a very slim majority for lots of other pieces of his agenda, so he can't permanently hurt these people, really. So, I don't think muscle's really going to get the job done. He's going to have to cut a deal and make these people more comfortable with what he's doing. And so far, this thing was supposed to be passed in January. Then it was going to be passed in March. Then it was going to be passed a couple weeks ago. Then it was going to be passed last week. At some point, Mitch McConnell, and it sounds like it's going to be this week, is going to actually force them to vote. And that will be sort of the moment of truth, whether these Republicans who promised for 7 years to do this will actually vote to do it. And, all bets are off at that moment.